So I forgot to record a intro, but this is my recap of I Know Who Killed Me, starring Lindsay Lohan from 2007. So the first scene that we start with is a super cheap looking strip club, and Lindsay walks in strutting her stuff out of a room in a red dress. Red and blue, mainly blue, is going to be hammered into you. That sounds really weird. It's going to be hammered into your brain throughout this movie. The scene drags on forever. She's just slow motion stripping for ages, and it ends with her sliding down the pole with blood coming down. Kind of gross. Then it cuts to a scene where Lindsay Lohan is in a classroom and she's reading her story. I had to write down what she said because I tried so hard to remember it, but it was just such a random story. It's about a story of a girl. She knew a trick. She knew how to turn her life into a movie and watch things happen. But not to her, to someone that looks like her. Then she gets back in her room and she's writing about having a half soul or feeling like having a half soul. You'll hear that throughout the whole movie a million times as well. I also forgot to mention that we find out her name is Aubrey. So the next scene we go to is Aubrey playing piano with her piano teacher in the room. She's getting distracted by the hot gardener outside when the teacher tells her to look at his hand, and he's wearing a blue ring. So just remember that. He wants her to focus more on piano because there is a piano competition coming up, and she used to be really good and she's won them in the past. She wants to leave it there and she wants to focus on writing. When the piano scene ends, it just has a super quick scene of a hairless cat and he has gigantic bowls. The teacher leaves, and next scene. She is at school and her boyfriend comes up and gives her a blue rose. She pricks her finger with the blue rose instantly, and all I could think of was that's a perfect amount of blood for a diabetes test strip. Meanwhile, it glazes over as the scene ends to a missing girl poster on the wall, and her name is Jennifer Tolan. So in the next scene, we're with Aubrey and her boyfriend Jared. He's super horny and he wants to get it on so he can relax before his game. She blows him off and he looks like he's about to cry, but I think this guy just looks like he's about to cry throughout the whole movie. Another teacher comes in to tell the current teacher of the classroom that Jennifer Tolan has been found dead. Then we get this scene where Aubrey pulls up at her house and the gardener is there from before. They seem like they're kind of flirting a little bit back and forth. It's obvious they're trying to make it seem like he's the killer because he's just kind of gross. He's there rubbing on a stick. She hops out of the car, she flips him off, and he makes caveman noises. Moving on. Next scene, they're at a football game and they have a super quick moment of silence for Jen.
Now let's get out there and win this one for Jennifer Tolan!
Jared is on the field while Aubrey is in the stands, and everything goes black and white except for everything that's blue. She slow-mo kisses him and it fades to the next scene where she's walking around the streets after the game with her two friends. They're just yabbering on and she's trying to find Jared, and she thinks she sees Jared in the crowd and she leaves her friends to go run after him. She doesn't manage to catch up with him, but she sees the gardener driving by drinking a beer and she hides. We then cut to later on where her two friends are trying to find her because she didn't meet them where she said she was going to meet them. They're calling Jared, and when they finally find Jared, he's not with her, so they freak out even more and they go running down the street and they find her car with the blue rose in it. Scene ends. Then smash cut to kidnapped Aubrey, who has been gagged with a blue rag. She has blue pills shoved down her throat and he's using blue tools. So blue everything. Next we have this random girl driving in a car. She's on the phone, she's crying, she's distracted, she swerves to miss a dog and she sees Aubrey's mangled body on the ground. They have this like crazy hospital scene.
Fucking awake.
For God's sake.
Increasing his diet.
When she finally awakes, she sees that her arm and her leg are missing. She's not very happy about it. The cops tell her they want to keep it their little secret because the killer's usual pattern is to not let them live. Her parents then come in and let Aubrey know that she'll be back to herself in no time, like they would know. They're calling her Aubrey and she's looking really confused and she's asking who's Aubrey. Dramatics ensue and the scene ends. Next scene, detectives are questioning her and she says her name is Dakota Moss. But it shows when the detective's writing on his little book that they have the same birthday. But she's not Aubrey, she's Dakota. She's the bad girl twin. She was raised by crack addicts. She doesn't want to talk to the cops because she doesn't trust them, but the cops let her know that she could be helpful if she talks to them. Later on, her mum comes into her hospital room and she brings her a bunch of gifts from home, but she ends up pulling out a photo of Aubrey when she's little at a beach. Dakota sees this photo and realizes she has a very similar photo when she was younger, but the water in the background is not as blue and there's garbage or whatever on the beach. In this next scene, we have her talking to the detectives, and they really want to know what happened to her over the last few weeks, because she was with the killer, getting her limbs chopped off apparently, but she goes into a flashback of what she remembers. We then get the most grossest and longest strip club scene, all in slow motion, lucky for us. She takes some really sexy dude's cigarette and she rubs it where she shouldn't, and then he takes it back and sniffs it. Walking home from the strip club, she sees a blue teleporting Jason Voorhees type of guy. The detectives think she's just lying about not being Aubrey. Also, throughout the whole movie, we'll just get jump cuts of Aubrey getting tortured by the killer. We then have Donnell from My Name is Earl show up and give her a super advanced robo arm and leg, which is very lucky. She then goes home with her parents and she thanks them for putting her up. Jared finally shows up and he has a big blue bouquet. They cry, they kiss, then they have the most painfully long, awkward sex scene while Mum listens downstairs, traumatized. When they're finished, she rolls over and lights a ciggy and she tells him about how she lost her limbs. It has a flashback where she's in the shower and kind of grudge-like touching the back of her hair, and she pulls her finger in front of her and it's like splitting in half. That's not going to stop her from stripping. She will be back on that pole tonight. And that explains the scene at the start where she's sliding down the pole with blood dripping. We then go to her after she's done her strip and she's in the dressing room and she's pulling her glove off her finger and her finger proceeds to fall off. She then faints and gets woken up by her boss, who tells her she probably should go to the hospital, but she won't because hospital are for the rich. She catches the bus home and she bleeds all over the place with her barely wrapped hand smoking a ciggy when some guy says to her that she should hold it above her heart. And then the flashback ends and we're back in bed with Jared and Dakota. She asks if he believes her and he says he does, and she says, "That's because you had sex with me," and he doesn't deny it. Maybe she should just have sex with everyone and they would all believe her. She gets Jared to sneak her out in the boot of her own car to take her to Jennifer Toland's house. Jenny's mum is really pissed because she thinks Aubrey's lying and not helping to find the killer. She then goes home to Google bleeding wounds. A video then pops up explaining these two twins, one Jacob who got shot and his twin died in the same way, miles away. Then the mum walks in and Dakota insists that she's not her daughter and she asks if she has a twin, and her mum ends up bringing her to the lounge room to show her a video of an ultrasound with only one baby in there. They cry as the dad menacingly looms in the background. In the next scene, Dakota is reaching for a trophy. As she's reaching for the trophy, she looks to the mirror and she sees a vision, and it's of Aubrey getting hit with a shovel, and she goes down also. Dakota starts piecing it all together. Obviously linked injuries, twins, blah blah blah. Dakota then accuses Daniel, the dad, buying a replacement baby from a crackhead. He won't admit it. She gets mad and leaves. So I'm guessing the crackhead had twin babies and Aubrey's mum lost her baby. So Dad Daniel went down and bought Aubrey from a crackhead down the street and now is trying to pretend that none of this is happening. Then we go to Dakota running around and it's going between shots of the killer burying Aubrey and Dakota running to the cemetery. Dakota finally gets to the cemetery and she sees a tombstone that says Aubrey's name. She also sees an award ribbon placed on the grave, and the ribbon says, "Blue ribbons are for winners, never settle for red." The name is revealed as Dr. Douglas Norquist. I have to be honest, I didn't have any clue who that was, but it's the piano teacher from that one scene in the start. Daniel then shows up and he apologizes and admits the truth. She then explains to him that she knows who killed her. She takes him straight to the killer's house and Daniel goes in first while she hyperventilates in the car. She then goes inside the loudest door ever, grabs a blue glass knife and wanders around the house. She's behind this door when the killer puts his arm in the door and starts swiping at her, and she literally just chops his arm off in seconds. Absolute unit. And she only has one hand, that's good. She then walks around his workshop of hanging limbs and she finds Daniel, and he's on this table getting his blood drained. That was very quick. They cry and talk really loudly like the killer isn't around. The killer finally comes out and grabs her. Scene goes to black. Scene comes back and she is tied up. The piano teacher finally takes the blue mask off and reveals himself officially. He kisses a wooden leg as he says, "You should be dead." She then stabs him all over and he dies, hugging his precious limbs. It really didn't take much for him to go down. Finally, Dakota digs Aubrey up and smashes the glass blue coffin. We see that she's alive, but instead of calling for an ambulance, they cry and stare, cry some more, and it just ends with them crying together in the coffin. Now that they're both alive, it's going to be a bit awkward with Jared, because, you know. So it seemed like throughout they're trying to make like Dakota's vibe red while Aubrey's was blue. I don't really know the reason for it. They have like this thing with red and blue. The killer's thing was blue. All his tools were blue. I don't know if his favourite colour's blue. And he killed other victims and chopped her arm off. So is it because he was mad at Aubrey for quitting piano, or that was just his next victim? I don't know.
And we will never know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.